I want to go over the guidelines of the digital research presentation. So between now and the end of the school year, as I said yesterday, you're going to have 4 assignments. The first one is due tonight by midnight. That is the proposal for this final research paper that I just went over. The second thing that will be due is the digital research presentation, okay? For this assignment, you will organize and present your research to your classmates. The presentation serves 2 purposes. First, it gives you an opportunity to organize your material in a way that will reflect your eventual argument paper. So I kind of want you to think of the digital presentation as sort of an outline for the paper that you're going to write, okay? You've spent weeks researching, reading, and annotating. Now it's time to put this all together in an organized argument. As I said with yesterday's, this is an accelerated research project, but it's only 4 to 6 pages. Second, it serves as an authentic audience peer review. Your classmates will interact with you during your presentation, asking questions and providing analysis. Some may question your argument. All of this will be helpful to you as you tighten up your argument and find evidence and rationale to fill any of the holes in your argument that you did not see prior to your peer review. These peer reviews, these presentations will happen next Monday and Tuesday. Okay? How to proceed. Use whatever presentation platform you feel gives you all of the elements you need to present your research effectively. Okay? So, here are some suggestions. I would actually like to point you more towards Google Slides, just because that is something we all have access to. We all have access to Google. However, if you have used Prezi or something like that, we might have to hook up your computer, because I don't think, and we can do this with everybody's, in fact. When it's time for you to present, we'll just hook up the projector to your computer, and whatever platform you have decided to use, you can present. The only thing that's difficult is when you submit this assignment on Canvas, if my computer doesn't support the program that you used, I might not be able to see it on my own. So I would have to primarily just score you based on your presentation, which I can do. That's not a big deal. But I think, is there anybody who has never worked with Google Slides? Okay, so everybody has. That's the one that I would recommend, but like I said, if there's another one that you really like, you could do PowerPoint. I guess many of you know how to use PowerPoint. All right, so here's what you're going to do. Here's what the slides will look like. Okay. Create sections for the following elements. Okay, so this might be one single slide, or when you get down to the argument sections, you might need a couple different slides, especially, you know, as you're doing your research, you're going to find many perspectives on the question that you ask, right? So, first slide, your interest, why you chose this topic. This is the exigence of the topic. Why this topic at this time? Has it been in the news, as we talked about yesterday? Why did you choose this one? Why was it interesting to you? Okay? Next is the context, the larger conversation surrounding your topic. What makes this topic relevant and current? Okay? So, honestly, you could probably include interest and context all in the same slide. Okay? You can tell me why you were interested and the context of it. Why the world is interested in this topic at this time. You could probably do that on one slide if you wanted. Your claim. Articulate your focused claim clearly, okay? So, in the assignment that you're turning in today, in your final paragraph where you write about what you already know, you are going to give basically a hypothesis, which is, you know, your best educated guess about the answer to your research question, okay? So, for example, Tio is looking at how has the pandemic changed college sports recruiting programs, right? Okay, so if that's his question, in his paragraph, he's going to talk about how he thinks it's changed, okay? How he already thinks it's changed, all right? But as he begins to research, he's going to learn more and more about how it really has changed, okay? So, your claim is what you're going to prove. It's basically the answer to your research question. And you could make that slide, here was my research question, here is the answer that I have come up with now that I have been doing this research. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, next, argument sections. Create a section for each subtopic you will cover in your argument paper, providing a conversation outline and the authors, including credibility, involved. So, this will probably be several slides. So basically I want you to think of this section as, if the slide before was my claim, how did you come to that claim? Okay, so you're going to tell me, this source is an expert because of this, and this is the evidence that they give, okay? You can do it as bullet points, okay? Like, once again, think of it as an outline to your paper. Where do you want to start, okay? You need how many sources for this paper? 4 to 6. So you could do a slide for each one if you want, or maybe you put on the same slide 2 authors who are agreeing with each other or something like that. The next slide, maybe 2 authors who are disagreeing with the other 2, but really think about the conversation, right? How are they in conversation with each other? Does this make sense to you? Okay, so really think of this as your outline, okay? Let's see. Conclusion. In this section, you will offer your final analysis. So basically, if you go back to your claim, this is where you explain it a little bit more, why you say why you believe this, okay? So why this is your claim. These are the ways that for example, if your claim is the pandemic has changed NCAA sports recruiting by this way, for example, okay? When you get down to your conclusion, you're going to expand on that just a little bit. Okay, it has changed this by doing these things. Okay, it has changed this in this way. It has changed this in this way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then further inquiry. For this slide, you will address the elements of the conversation that have yet to be discussed. What needs to be researched in order to finalize the conversation? What part of the discussion is missing? Okay, what have you not found information about yet? What questions have you looked for, have you searched for, but you haven't found answers for? Okay? Things that are still out there. Your references, provide a complete and accurate references page. Once again, as you encounter each source, go ahead and make that APA citation that will go at the end of your paper. Okay? Once it's on your slides, you can simply copy it and paste it into your paper as your final reference page. Okay? And then questions. Because presentations can be difficult to end, I suggest adding a question slide or image to the end of your presentation so your audience knows you have concluded. This is where you can really get some feedback from your peers about your paper. Like, is there a part of the discussion that you think I have left out? Are there questions that you see that I haven't addressed? Some questions.
You want us to write the questions, or we just tell them, do you guys have any questions?
I think you can certainly say, do you have any questions, or can you give me any feedback, but I would ask some specific questions as well. 1 or 2. Okay. All right, so formatting. This is a formal presentation of your research. Although you have a creative license visually, your citations and works cited page must follow APA format. So the font and spacing, as to the font and spacing, do what works for you. Assuming you have addressed all the elements listed above, the length is not relevant to the evaluation, okay? So, in other words, I don't care how many slides it is as long as you do everything that I ask you to do. As far as the presentation goes, there are 6 of us, maybe 7 if David has come back to our class. So, I mean, I expect your presentation to be maybe 10-ish minutes long. Does that make sense? Okay, what questions do you have for me about this project, yes.
They say that length doesn't matter, but what, do you have any like suggestions to what kind of length is sufficient?
Yeah, okay. So, looking at each of these, as I said, you could have one slide for interest, one slide for context, or I think you could combine those. So that would be maybe 1 or 2 slides there. Your claim should be its own slide, and like I said, I think it would be great on that slide to have your research question and then your thesis. The answer to that question as you've gathered information, okay? So that should be, so we're at 2 or 3. Augment selections. So let's say that, or argument sections, excuse me. So let's say you have 4 sources, okay? You could do 1 slide per source, okay? So now we're up to 6 or maybe 7 slides. Your conclusion slide should be probably 1, that's 8. Further inquiry, that's 9. Your references, that's 10. Your questions, that's 11. So I would say between 10 and 15 slides. Something like that. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions? All right. That's the second assignment. Also, by the way, the information came out yesterday that you guys will actually be having graduation rehearsal on Tuesday. So Monday will be your last day in class. So what I've decided to do is that signature assignment where that evaluation that you'll do in class, we'll do it on that Monday. And what I was thinking though is even though you won't be in class on Tuesday and Wednesday, maybe I would make this final paper due instead of Monday midnight, maybe Tuesday midnight.
Wednesday midnight.
Will you really do it the day of graduation?
Yeah,
I mean, here's the thing. The morning of graduation, maybe, I mean, you'll be busy, you might be packing, that kind of thing, but I'm okay to make the due date Wednesday midnight. And if you're done early, you can always submit early, that's not a big deal.
Okay.
Do you want me to do it that way?
Yeah.
Okay. But just know that Monday in class, the last day that you're in class, you will be doing an in-class writing, okay? But I'll adjust those dates, okay, to give you until Wednesday midnight. But don't, please don't procrastinate and then be mad at me because you have to go home from graduation and finish your paper, okay? I mean, you guys manage your own time. I'm willing to give you as much time as you need, but don't be mad at me if you leave it till the last minute, okay? I mean, in your mind tell you my due date is Monday at midnight, okay? And then work towards that, okay? Does that make sense,
So-
everybody? Okay.
Is graduation next week?
No.
Yeah.
The week after.
2 weeks. 2 weeks from Wednesday.
Okay,